Apollo, the god of music and prophecy, was smitten by the incomparable beauty of Coronis. Although they became lovers, Apollo's love for her was not reciprocated similarly. Coronis felt more affection for a mere mortal named Isis, with whom he secretly maintained a relationship. One day, a white bird saw Coronis becoming unfaithful and flew to Olympus to tell Apollo he was being betrayed. Apollo, filled with anger, unleashed his fury on the messenger bird. The bird, which had white feathers, ended up with its feathers as black as coal, and since then, its descendants have been known as ravens. Apollo showed no mercy to Coronis. He mercilessly shot him with an arrow. When he attended Coronis's cremation, he discovered to his amazement that she was pregnant with his child. Apollo rescued the baby from the flames, saving him. This child would become known as Asclepius. Apollo gave his son to the centaur Chiron to care for him. On Mount Pelion, Asclepius grew up under the tutelage of the centaur Chiron. The wise master saw in the young boy an extraordinary talent for the healing arts and devoted himself to nurturing him with all his knowledge. Day after day, Chiron took Asclepius through the forests and meadows, teaching him to identify each medicinal plant. He showed him how to extract their essences and prepare remedies for various ailments. The young man learned quickly, memorizing the properties of each herb and root. The lessons were not limited to botany. Chiron instructed Asclepius in anatomy, using the animals of the forest as models. He taught him to recognize bones, muscles, and organs, explaining their function and how to treat their ailments. Asclepius soon mastered the art of dressing wounds and sewing up cuts. His hands became skilled and precise, capable of performing delicate operations. Chiron taught him how to make surgical instruments and keep them clean to prevent infection. The centaur also imparted to his pupils knowledge of astrology and music, considered fundamental to the art of healing. He explained how the movements of the stars influenced health, and how certain rhythms and melodies could relieve pain and calm the mind. But perhaps the most important lesson Chiron gave Asclepius was that of compassion. He taught him that a true healer must treat not only the body, but also the spirit. He urged him to listen to his patients, to understand their fears, and to treat them with kindness and respect. Asclepius's reputation grew throughout Greece. His ability to cure illnesses and heal wounds attracted people from far and wide. Travelers came from distant lands seeking his help. In his travels, Asclepius treated rich and poor alike. He turned away no one in need of his care. His compassion was as great as his talent for medicine. It was said that he could cure any ailment. The blind regained their sight, the lame walked again. It was even rumored that he could bring the dead back to life. One of her most famous feats was the resurrection of Hippolytus, son of Theseus. Artemis asked Asclepius to bring the young man who had died unjustly back to life. Using his knowledge and divine gifts, Asclepius achieved the impossible. This act, though praiseworthy, attracted the attention of the gods. Some admired him, others viewed him with suspicion. Asclepius not only healed, he also taught. He founded a medical school where he shared his knowledge. His sons, Machaon and Podalirius, became famous physicians in their own right. Asclepius's influence extended beyond medicine. People began to see him as more than a healer. For many, he was a savior, someone who could defy death itself. Temples and shrines dedicated to Asclepius popped up all over Greece. People flocked to these places seeking healing and solace. The cult of Asclepius grew day by day. But with reputation came challenges. Other physicians envied his success. Some questioned his methods. And on Olympus, certain gods began to worry about his growing power. Asclepius, however, continued his work. Every patient cured, every life saved, enhanced his reputation. His name became synonymous with hope for the sick and the hopeless. Asclepius's power to bring the dead back to life caused great concern for Olympus. Hades, lord of the underworld, saw how souls that should have come to his realm were snatched away by the healer's arts. Furious, Hades appeared before Zeus. He told him how Asclepius's actions upset the natural order of the world and threatened the balance between life and death. Zeus listened attentively to his brother's complaints, aware of the gravity of the situation. The king of the gods found himself in a difficult position. On the one hand, he admired Asclepius's abilities and recognized the good he did for mortals. On the other, he understood that allowing a mortal, even if he was the son of a god, to have power over death was dangerous. After a long meditation, Zeus made a decision. He summoned the Cyclops, divine craftsmen, and ordered them to forge a special lightning bolt. This thunderbolt, more powerful than any other, was to be the instrument of his will. When the thunderbolt was ready, Zeus bided his time. He watched Asclepius as he performed his miraculous healings, bringing back to life those who had already crossed to the other side. At that instant, Zeus launched his thunderbolt. The sky lit up with a blinding radiance and a deafening thunder shook the earth. The lightning struck Asclepius, ending his mortal life. News of Asclepius's death spread quickly. Mortals and gods alike mourned the loss of the great healer. Apollo, upon learning of his son's death, was filled with grief and rage. Blinded by anger, Apollo decided to avenge Asclepius. He descended to the workshop of the Cyclops and, with his golden arrows, ended the lives of those who had forged the thunderbolt that killed his son. This act of revenge had grave consequences. Zeus, enraged by Apollo's actions, punished him severely. He stripped him of his divinity and condemned him to serve as a slave to a mortal king for a year. Thus ended the mortal life of Asclepius, a victim of the gods' fear of his power over death. After the death of Asclepius, the Greek world was plunged into mourning. Mortals mourned the loss of their great healer, while the gods debated his fate on Olympus. Zeus, recognizing the virtues and achievements of Asclepius, decided to honor him in an unprecedented way. The king of the gods elevated the late physician to the rank of god, granting him immortality and a place among the Olympian deities. As a token of this new divine status, Zeus placed Asclepius in the night firmament. The constellation of Ophiuchus, the serpent-bearer, became his heavenly abode. From there, Asclepius would continue to watch over the health of mortals. On Earth, the cult of Asclepius flourished. Temples and shrines were erected in his honor throughout the Greek world. The most famous of these was Epidaurus, a vast complex that attracted the sick and pilgrims from far and wide. At Epidaurus, devotees participated in healing rituals. They slept in sacred enclosures called abaton, waiting for Asclepius to visit them in dreams. It was believed that during these dreamlike visions, the god of medicine would reveal the cure for their ills or even perform divine interventions. The priests of Asclepius, known as Asclepiades, kept alive the teachings and practices of the god. They combined religious rituals with practical medical treatments, creating a holistic approach to health that would endure for centuries. Asclepius's children also played an important role in the spread of his cult. Hygeia, the goddess of health, and Panacea, the goddess of universal remedies, were worshipped alongside their father. His other sons, such as Machaon and Podalirius, became renowned physicians in their own right. Asclepius's influence extended beyond religion and medicine. His story inspired artists and poets who depicted him as a bearded man holding a staff with a coiled serpent. This staff became a recognizable emblem of healing and medicine. Asclepius's legacy endured so much after the decline of ancient Greek religion. His approach to medicine, which combined the physical with the spiritual, influenced generations of physicians. Even today, the Hippocratic oath pronounced by physicians at the start of their practice invokes the name of Asclepius. Thus, Asclepius, born mortal, became an eternal god. This video has been created for the Myth Comics channel. Thank you for joining us again in a new adventure. See you next time.